Welcome, Capricorn. If this message is finding you on a Sunday, pause for a moment, take a breath, because this is not random. Sunday carries a quiet frequency, a space where the noise fades, and the soul finally gets a word in. And if you're here right now, it means something within you is ready to soften, ready to listen, ready to reset. This message is not loud, it doesn't rush you, but it knows exactly where you are in your journey. Capricorn, before we go any further, write this in the comments to receive it. I allow what is meant for me, because what's about to unfold next isn't just a message, it's a doorway into a deeper truth your soul has been preparing for. Capricorn, I want you to imagine this moment for a second. The world has finally slowed down. Not because everything is perfect, but because, for the first time in a while, you are not running from yourself. If this message finds you on a Sunday, it is not an accident. You know that. You have never been the kind of soul who believes in coincidence. You trust patterns. You trust timing. You trust what unfolds quietly, without needing to announce itself. Sunday carries a softer frequency. It does not push, it does not demand. It simply creates space. And in that space, something inside you begins to speak. Not loudly, not urgently, but clearly. This is the kind of clarity that does not rush you. It arrives gently, like light slipping through a window you forgot was open. You may notice it in the way your body feels today. A little less tense, a little less guarded, or maybe in the way your thoughts slow down, even if just for a few seconds. Capricorn, this day is not asking you to fix anything. It is asking you to notice. Notice how much you have been carrying. Notice how long you have been strong. Notice how often you chose responsibility over rest. There is wisdom in that, but there is also fatigue, and Sunday holds permission. Permission to pause without guilt. Permission to breathe without explaining yourself. Permission to exist without performing. You may feel emotions rise unexpectedly, not because something is wrong, but because something is finally safe enough to surface. This is not weakness. This is intelligence of the soul. Capricorn, you are not being tested today. You are being realigned. There is a quiet understanding forming now, an understanding that says everything that unfolded the way it did had a purpose you could not see at the time. And suddenly, pieces begin to connect. Moments that once confused you start to make sense. Decisions you questioned begin to feel justified. You are not meant to relive the past. You are meant to recognize how far you have come from it. And here's the part I want you to hear most clearly. You are allowed to soften now. You are allowed to set things down. You are allowed to trust that not everything requires your control. The strength you are known for is still there. It always will be. But today, it is being balanced with something just as powerful: grace. As this moment continues to unfold, stay with that feeling. The one that feels calm, yet deeply alive. Because what begins quietly today has a way of guiding you exactly where you are meant to go. Capricorn, there is something I want you to recognize right now. This quiet season you just moved through was never meant to isolate you. It was meant to protect you. You may have noticed yourself speaking less, pulling inward, thinking deeply, but choosing not to explain yourself anymore. Not because you had nothing to say, but because you were listening to something deeper than noise. This kind of silence does not come from weakness. It comes from strength that has learned when not to speak. You were rearranging things inside, beliefs, priorities, boundaries that used to feel uncomfortable but now feel necessary. And maybe at times it felt lonely. Not the dramatic kind of loneliness, but the quiet one. The kind that sits with you at night and asks questions you cannot ignore. Questions like, why am I still carrying this? Who am I doing this for? And when did I stop choosing peace? That silence was not empty. It was honest. It showed you the weight you had been holding that was never meant to stay with you. Old expectations, old responsibilities, old versions of yourself that worked hard to survive but no longer belong in your future. Capricorn, you reached a point where proving yourself no longer felt worth the cost. And that is not giving up, that is growing up. You began choosing calm over validation, stability over explanation. You stopped offering your energy to places that could not meet you there. And yes, that shift changed things. Some people noticed, some distances formed, some doors quietly closed without drama. But in that quiet closing, something else began to open. A steadiness, a deeper trust in yourself, a sense that you no longer need to announce who you are becoming. You are becoming it anyway. This phase ending now is not loud. It does not demand attention. It simply releases you from carrying what was never yours, from explaining choices that came from self-respect, from holding yourself together when it was time to soften. Capricorn, you did not lose your edge. You refined it. And as this stillness gently loosens its grip, you may feel something shift inside your chest, a lightness, a quiet readiness, not to rush forward, but to stand differently where you are, with less armor, with more truth. Stay with this feeling for a moment. Let it settle, because what emerges from this calm moves with intention, and it knows exactly where to lead you. Capricorn, this realization does not arrive with noise. There is no announcement, no dramatic moment, no rush of adrenaline. It comes quietly, almost gently. You might be standing in your kitchen, driving home, sitting alone for a moment you did not plan. And, suddenly, without effort, something inside you settles. You do not force it. You do not analyze it. You simply know. It feels like a deep exhale you did not realize you were holding. And in that breath, the truth lands. I made it through. Not in the way you once imagined. Not by winning, not by proving anything, but by outgrowing what once hurt you. Capricorn, there is a difference between surviving something and no longer being touched by it. You may notice it when a memory passes through your mind and your body does not tense, or when a name crosses your thoughts and your heart stays calm, or when an old belief tries to speak and you quietly decline to listen. That is not numbness, that is freedom. You did not become cold, you became clear. There was a time when certain words could shake you, certain people could pull you back into old patterns. But now, there is space between the trigger and the response. And in that space, you choose yourself. This is not something you announce to anyone. You do not need validation for it. It shows up in the way you carry yourself, in the way you no longer chase closure, in the way you stop explaining why you changed. Capricorn, this is maturity that came from experience. You did not read this in a book. You earned it. You learned that not every battle deserves your energy, that not every emotion needs a reaction, that peace is not passive, it is powerful. And there is a quiet confidence forming now. Not the loud kind, the grounded kind. The kind that does not rush to speak. The kind that observes first. You may even feel a little surprised by yourself, wondering when this shift happened. It happened slowly. Through nights you thought would break you, through days where you kept going even when no one noticed. This realization is not about the past anymore. It is about who you are now because of it. And as this understanding settles in, there is a softness that follows. Not weakness, but relief. Relief that you do not have to carry what you already survived. Relief that you can move forward without dragging old weight behind you. Capricorn, stay with this feeling. Let it deepen naturally. Because when awareness arrives like this, it does not fade. It becomes the ground you stand on as the path ahead begins to reveal itself. Capricorn, there is something quietly shifting around you now. Not in a way that demands action, not in a way that asks you to prove anything. It feels more like a door you did not realize was unlocked. You have spent so much of your life moving forward by force, by effort, by responsibility that never took a day off. You learned early how to carry weight, how to stay strong even when no one asked how you were doing, how to keep going when rest felt like a luxury you could not afford. That strength shaped you, and it served you. But listen closely. This moment is different. You are not being asked to push. You are being invited to notice. Notice how tired your shoulders have been. Notice how your breath deepens when you stop trying to control the outcome. Notice how clarity begins to form when you allow yourself to slow down. The universe is not pulling you backward. It is asking you to soften your pace so you can actually see what has been approaching you quietly. Capricorn, opportunities do not always arrive loudly. Sometimes they enter the room while you are finally sitting still. They show up as a conversation that feels aligned, as a sudden sense of knowing, as a calm realization that you do not have to do this alone anymore. You may have believed that slowing down would cost you momentum, that if you paused, everything would fall apart. But what if the opposite is true? What if slowing down is what allows things to fall into place? There is support around you now. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, just steady, quiet, reliable. The kind of support that respects who you are and does not ask you to shrink or perform. Capricorn, you have earned the right to receive without struggle, to allow direction to reveal itself instead of forcing a plan into existence. This is not about giving up control, it is about trusting your presence. When you are fully here, when your mind is not racing ahead, when your body is not bracing for impact, you become aware of doors that were always there. You begin to sense where energy flows naturally, where things feel lighter instead of heavier. That is your signal, not urgency, not pressure, alignment. You may feel a quiet pull towards something new, a thought that keeps returning, a possibility that feels calm instead of exciting. That calm is not boredom, it is resonance. Capricorn, you are not meant to chase this next phase. You are meant to meet it, and meeting requires presence. As you allow yourself to slow your inner pace, something begins to rearrange itself around you. You notice fewer obstacles, more timing that makes sense, less resistance where there used to be friction. This is not coincidence, it is response. Response to your willingness to stop forcing life to move faster than it is ready to. Stay here for a moment. In this steady awareness, let the quiet guide you. Because what opens next recognizes you the moment you stop rushing past it. Capricorn, something gentle is moving through you now. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, just deep. You might feel it in your chest first. A softness where there used to be tension. A warmth that surprises you because you are so used to holding yourself together. This is not weakness showing up. This is safety returning. On this Sunday, your emotions may surface without warning. A memory, a feeling, a quiet moment that suddenly carries meaning. And what feels different is this. It does not hurt the way it used to. You remember something that once weighed heavily on you, and your body stays calm. Your breath stays steady. That is healing. Healing does not always announce itself with relief. Sometimes it arrives as neutrality, as peace where pain once lived. Capricorn, your system has been holding so much for so long. Responsibilities, unspoken grief, pressure to stay composed. Your body learned how to survive that, but now it is learning how to let go. If tears come, they are not breaking you, they are releasing you. If your heart feels tender, it is not because you are fragile, it is because you are no longer armored. There is a difference. This is what happens when the nervous system finally exhales, when the mind no longer scans for danger, when the soul realizes it is allowed to rest. You may notice old thoughts drifting through, but they do not stick. They pass like clouds instead of storms. That is not avoidance. That is integration. Capricorn, you are not losing control of yourself. You are coming back into alignment with who you really are. Your natural frequency has always been grounded, steady, wise, but over time, life pulled you slightly off center, asked you to be strong before you were ready, asked you to carry more than your share. This healing is the correction. It is your energy recalibrating, returning to its original rhythm. And when that happens, emotions do not feel dangerous anymore. They feel informative. They pass through without taking residence. You might feel more sensitive today, more aware, more present in your body. That is not something to fix. That is something to honor. Capricorn, this softness does not take away your strength. It gives it depth. You are becoming someone who can stand firmly without being rigid, someone who can care deeply without losing themselves. As this healing continues quietly, let yourself move slowly with it. No analysis, no judgment. Just notice how your inner world feels a little more spacious. Because when your energy settles back into its true rhythm, the way forward begins to feel less like effort and more like recognition. Capricorn, take a quiet moment with me here. I want you to look back, not with judgment, not with regret, but with honesty. 1 year ago, you were not standing where you are now. You were carrying more than you admitted, holding together pieces that were already loosening, still trying to be everything to everyone who expected strength from you. And yet, even then, you kept going. What you may not have noticed at the time is how subtly you began to change, not loudly, not all at once, but steadily. Today you move differently. You speak with more intention. You pause before saying yes. Your boundaries are clearer now, not because you became harder, but because you became more honest about what costs you peace. That shift did not come easily. Some connections fell away, not in dramatic endings, just quiet distance, less effort, less resonance. You may have questioned that at first, wondered if you were being too cold, too selective, too unavailable, but deep down, you knew. those relationships, belong to a version of you who needed to overextend to feel secure. That version kept you safe once, and you can honor that. But you are not that person anymore. Capricorn, you also let go of habits that kept you busy but disconnected. Patterns that filled time but drained your spirit. You stopped numbing, stopped distracting, stopped pushing yourself past your limits just to prove you could. And perhaps the hardest thing you released was an old identity. The one who believed love had to be earned, respect had to be fought for, rest had to be justified. That identity was strong, but it was heavy. Letting it go was not losing yourself. It was choosing yourself. You may not celebrate this out loud. That is not your style. But let me tell you something you deserve to hear. You did not fall behind. You did not miss your moment. You evolved. And evolution often looks like subtraction before it looks like expansion. Capricorn, this past year shaped you into someone more grounded, more self-respecting, more aware of where your energy belongs. You no longer chase approval. You observe alignment. You no longer explain your boundaries. You live them. That is not loss. That is refinement. And here is the quiet truth. Everything that left made room. Room for connections that feel mutual. Room for rhythms that feel sustainable. Room for a life that does not require constant effort to maintain. You are standing on stronger ground now. Even if it still feels unfamiliar, growth often does. As you sit with this awareness, let it settle into your body. Let yourself feel the pride without turning it into pressure. Because the version of you that is here now did not arrive by accident. It arrived through choice, through courage, through knowing when to let go. And as this understanding quietly anchors itself, notice how the path ahead begins to feel less like survival and more like intention. Capricorn, there is something important about today that has nothing to do with what happens around you. It has everything to do with how you remain inside yourself. Because something familiar may drift back in, a voice, a memory, a situation that once knew exactly how to pull at your balance. And when it appears, it may feel subtle at first, almost harmless, but you will recognize it. The difference now is not in what shows up, it is in how you stand. In the past, your instinct may have been to respond, to explain, to defend your position, to carry the emotional weight of it all on your own shoulders. But listen to me closely. You do not need to do that anymore. This Sunday asks for stillness, not reaction. There is strength in staying centered while the world tests old doors. You may feel the moment arrive where you could react, where you could say something, where you could re-enter an old dynamic, and then you pause, you feel your feet on the ground, you notice your breath, and you choose calm. That choice is not avoidance. It is mastery. Capricorn, when something no longer controls your emotions, it loses its authority over you. You do not need to prove that you are different now. Your energy already knows. You have learned that reacting keeps you tied to the past. Standing steady releases you from it. So if a memory returns, let it pass through. If a name surfaces, acknowledge it without engaging. If a situation repeats itself, observe it without stepping into it. This is not indifference. This is wisdom. There is a quiet power in being unmoved. Not because you do not feel, but because you feel without losing yourself. Capricorn, this steadiness you are cultivating is not cold. It is grounded. You are not shutting down. You are choosing where your energy belongs. And that choice changes everything. Because when you no longer react, life begins to respond differently to you. People sense it. Situations shift. Old patterns lose their grip without a fight. This is how you know you have grown. You can stand in the same place that once destabilized you and remain rooted. You can hear echoes of the past without being pulled backward. That is not luck. That is earned stability. As this calm anchors deeper into you, notice how your body feels safer, your thoughts clearer, your presence more solid. You are not bracing for impact anymore. You are standing in truth. And truth does not need to raise its voice. Stay with that steadiness. Let it guide your responses today. Or your silence. Both can be powerful. Because when you choose not to react, you are not losing control. You are reclaiming it. And as this grounded calm continues to hold you, there is a quiet sense that whatever comes next will meet you right where you stand. Capricorn, let me say this slowly, so it can land. You are not lost. If that question has been quietly circling in your mind, usually late at night, usually when everything finally goes quiet, you are not wrong for asking it. Am I moving in the right direction? Did I miss something important? Will this actually work out? These are not doubts. They are signs of awareness. And here is the truth you may need to hear today. Yes, you are exactly where you need to be. Not because everything is perfect, not because every answer is visible yet, but because your inner compass is still working, and it has never failed you. You may not always feel guided, especially when the path feels slow, or quiet, or different from what you once imagined. But guidance does not shout, it nudges. It shows up as timing that makes sense only later, as delays that protect you, as endings that hurt at first and then quietly save you. This Sunday carries a sacred pause, a moment where you are allowed to release the pressure to have it all figured out. You are allowed to loosen your grip on the version of life you thought you needed. You are allowed to trust the version that is unfolding instead. Capricorn, there is nothing weak about choosing a softer pace, nothing irresponsible about choosing peace. Strength does not always look like endurance. Sometimes it looks like surrender to what feels true. You are not being asked to leap. You are being asked to trust the ground beneath your feet. And it is solid. Everything you have lived through has been shaping your discernment, your patience, your depth. You now move with wisdom, not urgency. That is why your path may look quieter than others. That is why it may feel less dramatic. But it is steady. And it is real. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being guided in a way that honors who you are becoming, not who you used to be. There is a gentle permission in the air today. Permission to let go of the past without resentment. Permission to step forward without fear. You do not have to rush this moment. You do not have to force clarity. Clarity comes when you are ready to receive it. And right now, you are receiving exactly what you need, even if it does not look the way you expected. Capricorn, your life is not off course. It is recalibrating, and recalibration always feels quiet before it feels clear. So, if all you do today is breathe a little deeper, stand a little softer, and trust a little more, that is enough. Because something unseen is already aligning on your behalf, and it knows your name. Capricorn. Before we close this space, I want you to stay right here with me for just a few more breaths. Because endings, when done with intention, are not really endings at all. They are confirmations. If you are still listening, it means something inside you recognized itself tonight. Not loudly, not dramatically, but honestly. You felt it in the quiet moments between the words, in the pauses, in the parts that felt like they were spoken just for you. That is not coincidence, that is resonance. Capricorn, you are stronger than you were, softer than you were allowed to be before, and wiser than you often give yourself credit for. Nothing you heard tonight was meant to rush you. It was meant to remind you that your pace is valid, your path is intentional, and your timing is not late. If this message landed in your heart, I invite you to anchor it. In the comments, write this simple line to claim it. I trust myself. Those 3 words carry more power than most people realize. And if you feel called, stay connected. Subscribe. Not because you need answers, but because this journey is unfolding in layers. There is more clarity coming, more alignment, more moments where things suddenly make sense. The next message is already forming, quietly, patiently, just like you. Capricorn, thank you for sharing this space, for choosing stillness, for choosing truth. Wherever you are listening from tonight, know this. You are not walking alone, and the path ahead recognizes you even before you take the next step. Until we meet again, stay grounded, stay open, and keep trusting the quiet voice inside you. The journey continues,